kind of relationship, it's much harder to regain that initial trust and rebuild that trust back up. So in e-commerce and in life in general, you want to try not to break the trust and avoid breaking it as much as possible. I know personally I've been burnt several times by lots of indie brands. I don't know about you, Andrei, but if they kind of went down that route of customer is always right, I'm sure I would have been purchasing 3 or 4 times after that.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned that example where I used to purchase all my laptops and like the more expensive items locally, and like basically what happened. I was a client for many years, and then one time they didn't want to offer me the warranty that I was supposed to receive for an item. It was a more expensive item. So it was just that one time where they pretty much broke the trust. And ever since, I just decided to shop with Amazon. Like Amazon right now, when it comes to like more expensive items, it's the way to go for me, because I know no matter what, they're always gonna be there and they're gonna issue a refund or change the product if it's not working.
Yeah, right. And then like brands don't set out to kind of be untrustworthy and do that kind of thing. It's just that's what happens, especially as brands have grown, especially during kind of the lockdown and the COVID-19 situation. Some brands have got really, really busy and they can't deal with that customer service side. And that is where the trust comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to touch a little bit on that, I think, on the next slides, like how to avoid that.
Yeah, some quick do's and don'ts. Like be transparent and honest. There's no point trying to fake being trustworthy, especially online. You get caught out quite quickly. So yeah, try and avoid kind of exaggerating client reviews. We all know our brand that's exaggerated claims in the past, especially around that kind of greenwashing thing. So that's for those that don't know, greenwashing is where you claim as a brand to be a bit eco-friendly, even though you're not, or your product isn't recyclable. And brands get found out all the time, and it's really, really bad for their reputation. Yeah. So instead, be vulnerable about that. So explain that you're not green, but you're trying to be green, and you have future plans to be a bit better as a brand. That is really good. It shows off that vulnerability and helps you kind of build that trust and relationship up, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention again that in e-commerce, we're all playing the long-term game. It's not about having a quick win today and screwing a customer for like 20 or $50, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy because I didn't have to refund the customer. You have to think everything long-term. So even though you may be losing $50 today or $100, you maybe want a customer for life or for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah, and you can work out the kind of lifetime values of customers. A lot of like platforms like Klaviyo and Shopify will work all that out for you. Try to avoid those quick wins and put the customer at the center.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's get started. 10 tips.
Let's do it.
94% of people don't trust outdated websites. That's pretty obvious, I would say. If you landed on a store and it was really not very well designed, you probably wouldn't kind of spend your money there. So we always say keep that brand consistent, keep the design consistent, and look at your proposition drivers and your USPs. These are just really, really quick ways to get your design on the site looking really good. And they're an opportunity to align your brand values with your target audience values. So things like British made, US made, maybe eco-friendly, vegan, those all align with the customer. And exactly the same way, if you go to a networking meeting and you start talking about something that you've got in common with a stranger, like football, you instantly get a good rapport going on and you instantly build a relationship, which manifests in trust. So there's loads of examples of this, right? Free returns.
I think this one is huge, like free returns. I don't know about you, Will, but in my case, when it comes to free returns, I instantly like give that website a lot of credibility, because free returns is like, okay, even if the product is not what I expected, I'm not going to pay for the return. So Obviously, as a smaller merchant, it's quite hard to scale that, free return policy. But if you're scaling your business and you see that, okay, I can actually afford doing free returns, it's going to cost you the margin on the short term, but longer term, it's going to be huge. Like free returns, I think it's really underappreciated.
Yeah, right. And it shows you the brand as well, that you trust in the product, you believe in the product. And if you can believe in your own product, then the customer should be able to believe in that, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And flexible payment options as well. So PayPal, Klarna, Affirm, Amazon Pay.
Yeah.
Even things like Apple Pay and Google Pay, even Shopify Pay in itself is a bit of a trust signal. They're all trusted payment providers. But you need to talk about that in an upstream marketing way. So let's say you're going out for a meal, right? And you order burgers and a burger and chips and a can of Coke. And at the end of the meal, you find out it's a free meal, right? Well, you knew that at the start, you'd have probably ordered lobster and a bottle of champagne. And that's kind of where upstream marketing works in e-commerce as well. If you tell the user what's happening towards the end of that user journey, then they're more likely to kind of spend. They're going to know what's going on, especially with something like Klarna, where they can spend more and it boosts your average order value, right?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is a really good example, that if you provide something like Klarna or Affirm, you would want to make sure that you present it all over your website and people know about it. It's not like they have this surprise at checkout, like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because if you actually provide these installment options, they like your average order value, it's going to go way higher because they see it from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they see at the end that actually they might go backwards, but then that's
that's something not desirable. Yeah, I mean, going back from the cart, it's
yeah. So here's a brand, Off Black Tea. These guys use proposition drivers really, really well throughout their user journey. So their brand aligns really well with that kind of healthy demographic, that vegan demographic, and throughout their user journey, kind of from discovery on that homepage right through to product pages, different landing pages. They've all got these no artificial flavors, vegan friendly, almost zero calories, and they all interchange, right? And they're all branded up as well. This is quite important, but they're branded up and they use them throughout different mediums. So whether that's on email, social media, right?
I mean, if your product has something unique like this, I mean, not unique, but something like a USP, like make sure to put it everywhere, like on your emails, on your website, on social media, because this is what makes your brand different. If you're selling tea, just like Off Black is doing, there's thousands of tea brands out there. So it's really important for people to really connect with your product and with your idea. And how you do it, this is like one of the ways, just making sure that they know the USP, so they know, like, okay, that's why I'm choosing Off Black. It's because there's vegan friendly, no artificial flavors, and so on.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And you can spend your time trying to pick out why one brand will be better than the other brand, but actually it's all about kind of building that trust and getting a community around that. Otherwise, you're left with the base price, and nobody really wants to kind of do a race to the bottom on the pricing.
Yeah, that's really dangerous, and not a good strategy.
No. Here is an example of Klarna, actually. So using their messaging. On the left, we've got the homepage, instant kind of Klarna messaging and branding on there. So they know as soon as they start shopping, they can split it. Free payments, really, really clever.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, you just got to make sure that people know that they're able to pay in multiple installments. That's very powerful.
And then, like you say on here on the product description page, they've actually broken down the cost as well there. So 720, and they broke it $240 a month. So really, really good from a user journey point of view.
Yeah, and talking about these payment methods, like, the downside of this is that you'd have to be present. Like, we'd have to have the business in like a country where it supports these payment methods, like US, Canada, UK. But even if you're watching this and you're not in one of those countries, you can actually open a business and then run your business through like US, and that's what we did. And you would still get access to these kind of payment solutions, which I think they can really impact the bottom line. So maybe it's not available in your country, but again, you can open like a business account in other countries, and you can still have access to this.
Nice. Yeah, good idea. I like that. So moving on to the next bit, endorsements. So endorsements from trusted brands. They kind of like share the trust almost. Like if you imagine trust as kind of something that you can pass between. If you've got an endorsement from a TV, a sports personality, a newspaper, you're almost stealing the trust that your audience has in that brand and onto yourself, right? So show off those kind of media mentions before any call to actions, like email marketing, maybe kind of signing up to something. Very similar to kind of an influence approach. And actually influencers are really, really big at the moment, especially kind of moving down into that micro influencer. Brands are quickly realizing that celebrities are not necessarily the right way forward for kind of those endorsements, but those micro influencers, those are the ones that have like tens of thousands of followers versus millions, are really good.
Yeah, this is something that it looks like a tremendous job for someone like to get those endorsements. It's not like you just turn on some Facebook ads and then you get some traction. You actually have to build those relationships. And yes, it does cost some more time. It is more involved, like more involving. But at the same time, imagine you can become the owner of a category. So if everyone, like every influencer, is posting something about your product in your category, it can be like gym clothing, it can be supplements or whatever. And there's brands that are really doing this on like the top level, like Gymshark. Like they're one of the brands that everyone, like I think every influencer has been sponsored by them. So that's one of the reasons they got so huge. So in a sense, it's still an endorsement, but not from like a superstar celebrity, like, I don't know, like a football player, but from like multiple people that are just, smaller influencers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things as well. Like, so influencers, you can obviously pay your way in, but getting those media mentions from big magazines or TV, that can be quite tricky to get involved in kind of initially, but they grow traction, don't they? They grow exponentially. You get one magazine, and then the two more magazines want to jump on that bandwagon, and then all of a sudden you've got a really good brand behind you as well.
Yeah, that's huge. It's something that, again, it takes a lot of time, and you have to probably build a network to do it. But think about it: if you're selling something that's new or something that's different from what's out there in the market, you have huge chances of landing in a media outlet. So you just have to go on LinkedIn, see, okay, who's writing at that kind of like that media outlet, and reach out to them. And that's pretty much how you do it. You just build your network, because it's really tricky if you really want to just wait until someone knocks at your door like, hey, I want to write about you. Probably it's going to take years for someone to notice you. So you have to be proactive and go there and talk to people so they notice your brand and talk about it on those media outlets.
Yeah, definitely. And you can, if you've got an SEO team, you can get your SEO team to kind of track those as well. So magazines write about time, and they don't kind of reach out and tell them. And the same with setting up Google Alerts. Really easy to do. Just set up a Google Alert once a month, get a list of So Amaze, these guys are, so this is the US site. What they do is they help raise money for charities by like one in a lifetime opportunity. So one of the ones they've got going at the moment is you can win £1 million house in the UK, and it's all to raise money for the Cancer Trust, right? So
I've seen their ads. They're everywhere.
That right. So there's a lot of that needs as well for something like that. It's a £1 million house. You instantly, not necessarily kind of because the brand is quite well known, it works well. But if that brand wasn't well known, you would be kind of suspicious, right?
Yeah.
So one of the ways on the US site, you can see here they've got loads and loads of endorsements from some really good newspaper, TV logos as well.
Yeah.
They use that throughout the user journey, but putting it above kind of a call to action as well is going to drive more traffic into that email sign up as well. This is a really cool brand, Mon Pure. They're like a healthy hair shop. They actually set up in the middle of summer 2020, so launched in the middle of COVID, right? So
really good timing.
Exactly right. Really, really impressive brand. They've grown really quickly, and part of that is to do with the kind of PR. So you can see there, L Town and Country, Bazaar. They're all a specific type of publication that suits a certain demographic, and it works really, really well for them. Again, popping that sign up above the call to action to sign up for an email address. And I think one way they did this was send out samples. I'm not entirely sure on that exactly, but yeah, that'd be a really good way for any brand that wants to get their product in front of a publication. Send out free samples, right?
Yeah. By the way, just a quick break here. You can actually, I think you can share your screen. I mean your video. you can try that now.
Can you see me?
Oh yeah. There we go.
Oh,
there we go.
I've gone the wrong way. I don't want to go back. Okay.
Very good.
So 86% of millennials say that UGC is a really good indicator of brand quality. And so what we talk about when we talk about user-generated content is anything that was produced naturally on social media by people who have bought your product. And it's really, really important because you need to learn how to kind of capture that UGC and turn that into more customers or more revenue, right? So you need to incentivize them to produce more. And you can do that through loyalty programs, so offering different points for producing different types of content. Or you can offer them discounts, so like 10% off if you post a picture. And then second thing you want to do with UGC is get that permission to use it in marketing. And then use
that's really important. Yeah, that's huge.
And then use that across all the full user journey. So Facebook ads, email marketing, on your product page, whatever. Like, it's really, really important to use that over and over again. And it's social proof, right? We're social animals, and we need that to kind of have that pack mentality.
I think this is like one of the foundational things when it comes to trust. I mean, you probably can have like the best products out there. If you check out the Instagram of that brand and there's nothing, like there's no people, there's no one sharing anything about it, you're probably going to have some questions like, okay, this is a really cool brand, but what's going on? Are they new? Like, because usually it's either they're brand new or it's something shady about the business if you don't have that user generated content.
Yeah, right. And yeah, it's required really for any decent brand that wants to take themselves seriously. And we spoke of Pixley is a UGC management piece of software where they'll collect all that marketing permission, and they will kind of store it all in a big database. So and then tag everything. So let's say you were running like a Father's Day campaign, you could find all the images with your branding created by somebody else on Instagram that have all got pictures of fathers in, right? It's a really, really quick way to kind of get those ads out there.
Yeah.
And GoPro, everyone knows GoPro, right? Founded on UGC. Like at least 6,000 GoPro tag videos are uploaded to YouTube every day. That's crazy, right?
It probably is like the biggest, like the best example of UGC. I think their entire brand was built on UGC. If you go on YouTube, there's like crazy videos with people doing stuff and wearing a GoPro. So definitely they knew how to do it. And I think they've been doing this before the term UGC was ever invented. So
yeah, I think that's the coin, right?
Yeah.
And they distribute that really, really well. So they distribute that online, pretty much all their ads on product description pages. They've all got UGC in, and even kind of offline. So when they go for TV ads, big billboard ads, they're all UGC based, right? And they partner with sports celebrities, they partner with musicians. Yeah, really, really good brand to kind of get some influence on the UGC.
Yeah.
So Jolene, they are using Plixly, and they worked out quite quickly. Shoppers who interacted with customer photos are 2.44 times more likely to purchase, which is huge, really. And they've got a 6.81% higher average order value. So I really like this product description page because underneath the product, right, they've just got all the UGC there, and it's that product with the different variants, and they can actually see that in real life on real people, which I think really, really effective, right?
Yeah, and I think also like showing the actual images of the product, being worn by someone, it's going to reduce the return rate. Like this is like a side effect of showing those UGC images on your product page. So if you can do it, you can use softwares like Pixly. I think there's also other options there, like 460, I believe it's one of them. And yeah, definitely look into that because it's super powerful.
Yeah. Cool. Do you want to take it?
Yeah. Let's talk about text messaging. Text messaging is something that has been it's like a super hot conversation topic lately, and I want to touch upon the human side of things and why it was why we decided to talk about it today when we talk about trust. Is like, think about email marketing all the way back years ago and like even decades ago. It's all being automated. It's all being like, just a bot sending those emails, or in this case right now, it's bots that send those text messages, right? And as a matter of fact, there's a new way of connecting with people and building relationships with them. And that is through human powered text messaging. That means there's a human talking to your customers. And this is actually what we do at Cartloop. We have a team of experts who talk to your customers, and we build relationships, and we try to make them from visitors. We try to turn them into shoppers by answering questions, making sure that they're being taken care of. So it's just like having that in-store experience online, and the results are just staggering. Like the open rates for text messaging are just like almost 100%. The reply rates are great, and also the ROI is fantastic. So we can move to the next slide. We have a few examples. I'm really a huge fan of building relationships through text messaging. And in the first example, you see when we talk about SMS and then text marketing, you see I would say like the classic way of sending text messages is like, hey, come back. The product is gonna be out of stock tonight. You got to come back, and you put like some alarms and it's like some fireworks and all that crazy stuff. And then the reality is that the stock is not going to go out. You're just destroying your reputation by acting that way, and doing this on an automated level. So it's quite annoying. And I had this experience, like brands just texting me out of the blue some weird stuff, and I was like what? Like, why did you do it? So our approach, and this is something that I truly believe in, is that you should, like, since you have this new channel, which is one-to-one communication, you should try to provide value to your customers, not just try to sell them something. Imagine meeting someone new, like, you meet a new person, and this person, instead of trying to connect with you and be like a friend of yours, his just, first thing he does, tries to sell you something. And that's why a lot of brands are using SMS in the wrong way, and they're not building trust. They're simply annoying their customers. So what we do, we try to bring that in-store experience online. We answer their questions in real time. So if there's going to be something like, hey, do you ship to California? Sure, like we do ship, although the message, like there's an FAQ on the website, people usually don't read it. So it's important to have that one-to-one communication. So imagine, instead of waiting, like sending a support ticket and waiting for someone to reply back in like a couple of business days, imagine how powerful it is to just text your brand and instantly get a message back. Like this is like unbelievably powerful. So we can move to the next one, where we have some examples. These are real examples, real conversation examples. And you would see examples like this all day. Like, I don't know, hopefully you'll be able to see this if you're watching. For example, we ask them like, hey, do you need some help? That's the first question that we ask them on that's an automated message, just because it's really hard to, send manual text to everyone. And then we get a reply. Like 50% of people would reply, and usually it's something like, hey, in the first case, I don't trust the company. Like I don't really know if I should purchase. And imagine you're sending an automated message like, I don't trust the company, and then no one replies back to you. Like obviously that customer is not going to convert. You're not going to build any relationship with them. But having someone like a real person saying like, hey, I'm actually a real person. You can check out our reviews. You can actually pay with PayPal and you're covered 100%. And that's why the conversion rates are like probably like 10 times higher than an email marketing, just because you're able to provide that instant support. And think about what that instant support does with your trust. Like it's the same way it goes with free shipping. You know that, okay, if something goes wrong, I can do it. I can do something about it. So this acts the same way. If something goes wrong, I have someone to go back to, and I don't have to wait days. So yeah, and another example is payment issues. I really want to touch upon this. Us as marketers, as e-commerce people, we think that, okay, someone has a like a payment issue, fine, they're just going to retry it. They're just going to retry the payment, but it's not like that. I've reviewed personally like over 30,000 conversations, like 30,000 real conversations, and a lot of times people, after they see that the web, like their card was declined, they think the website is a scam. Like I'm not kidding. They think they were texting us like, hey, yeah, I wanted to purchase, but the card was declined. I believe this is a scam. Sorry, I don't want to purchase. So what we do, we actually reply, in a human, like in a like super personal matter, like, hey, like the website is not a scam. Probably it was just your bank declining the transaction. You can also try PayPal because it's 100% guarantee, and they go back and they purchase. So yeah, I think this is the future. And if you're not using one-to-one conversations, human part conversations in your marketing stack, you should definitely check it out. You can check out Cartloop. We also have 7 days free trial. You don't pay anything. You just install the app, and it takes like 5 minutes. And yeah, you usually see results in the first 24 hours. That's about it. So
nice. It's just another way of kind of bringing that brick and mortar experience to the online world, right?
Yeah, this is our vision. We believe that with so many distractions today, people receive a ton of like emails every day. It's really hard to provide that level of service that they receive when they go into a store. You go into a high-end store and you expect someone to come up to you and ask you like, hey, do you need some help? How can I, like, how do you need maybe another color of that product? And unfortunately, unless you're using something like Cartloop, you cannot really scale that one-to-one experience. It's pretty much impossible. Yeah, this is some more examples. Again, it all comes down to being helpful to those customers and provide a real-time support.
Cool. Yeah. So let's talk about reviews then. So we touched on UGC, and I think reviews kind of falls under that, but I think they're just as important to kind of have their own kind of heading. So 70% of consumers place reviews by other customers above professionally written marketing content. Right? As an e-commerce owner, how long have you spent kind of redrafting the product description or redrafting the content on the about page? And actually 70% of your consumers would prefer to just look at the reviews. And I think that's because it gets a really kind of unique insight into the product or the service, right?
Yeah.
Really, really important. It's completely impartial as well. And I think the placement of the reviews, so where they are on the site, where they are in the user journey, is really, really important. So very similar to UGC, encourage more of it and then reuse it across your full user journey. So
yeah, I just want to add up something here. There's 2 kind of reviews. There's those like on-site reviews when you use something like Lux app and you place those reviews below your product description. But there's also like review platforms like Trustpilot, reviews.io, something similar to that. And those are 2 different things. So you you should always think about creating a strategy that would direct people to both of these places. Or for example, if you can actually combine those, so if you can get reviews from that platform and put it on your site, that's even better. But again, this is something that I've noticed after reviewing so many conversations with people. When it comes to reviews, it's unbelievably how important they are. If there's no reviews, so if you have like a brand new store that they just got started a few months ago and they have no reviews, it takes us a lot longer and it's way harder for us to convert that shopper because there's no reviews. And we have to go and talk about PayPal. Like you should use PayPal because it's safe. But if the brand has reviews, and right now we're working with a brand that has over 16,000 reviews, almost 5 stars out of 5, and it's so easy to convert shoppers because we're just gonna show them, hey, check out our reviews, and like, okay, I'm done. There's no other room for discussion here.
Yeah, right. And again, with brands that are starting up, you can send out kind of those sample reviews. I know review platforms let you do that. So as you're building out your new website or just getting everything sorted out, send out some samples and get those people who receive those samples to review. So when you launch, you're not just launching from nothing, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can ask, it's no shame in, sending some products to your friends or family and just ask them to post an honest review. But I would suggest posting, not requiring a positive review, but an honest review.
Yeah, right. And they should be real as well. Again, we said this at the beginning. Don't try and falsify reviews. Don't do shady websites and pay for 5,000 good reviews and all that. Yeah.
It's gonna bite you back. So don't do it.
Yeah, definitely short-term results, but in the long run, it's not gonna do your brand any good.
Yeah.
Here's a really good example of smart filtering on reviews. This is relatively new, and I think a lot more brands are going to kind of adopt this. But this is a bra e-commerce store, and as you can see, they're able to filter between what the review's about. So if it's bra, fit, support, band, the site, the look, the size, all those different things that the consumer wants to kind of look at and then see a review on to see whether or not this product is right for them.
Yeah, really makes it easier for customers to understand. Makes it easy for customers to understand. To find the exact pain point or point that they're looking into.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about that. It's squishing that qualm as quickly as possible, isn't it? So this is from reviews.io. We talked about using the reviews throughout the whole user journey. So reviews.io will collect your reviews for you and then will host them on your website as well as your own review page. And then they turn this into content for your social media. So you can plug this into your ads and run these as ads. And then on the right, you can see there they create animated videos for your reviews that go into different social media. So that's obviously an Instagram story, but you get the squares for Facebook and stuff. So yeah,
this is a fantastic app.
Yeah, really powerful, really automated as well, which is cool. So moving on to the next bit, referral programs. Customers acquired through a referral program have a 37% higher retention rate, and also customers that are enrolled via referrals are 5 times more likely to refer friends. And that's mainly because, again, when we talked about endorsements, you kind of steal that trust from that media or that celebrity or whoever's endorsing your brand, and you use that trust to promote yourself, right? And so that's how referrals work. You're taking the closeness of that referee relationship and using that trust to promote your own brand. Takes a little bit of time to set up, but it's really, really high, kind of high organic feedback loop. It just keeps churning kind of more revenue, more custom to your site.
Yeah. And I think this is a really good example of a flywheel. It's really hard to get started with, but once you gain some traction, this can be one of your top revenue streams. And also one thing that I want to touch upon here is if you have an amazing product and a superb service from A to Z, sometimes you don't really need a referral program because people are going to be so excited about your brand and they just want to share with their friends on social media. But yeah, this is like, you have to be really exceptional of, on what you're selling and how you're doing things. But definitely something like a referral program is a must have, and you should implement one in your marketing strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And it all ties in again with kind of reviews and UGC, that referral program into that, and create like a really good kind of almost omni-channel kind of experience, right?
Absolutely.
So this is a referral program by Goose and Gander. So they're a London-based fashion brand, and here you can see that they sign in with their loyalty points as well. So like on Facebook, product reviews, promoting that, and then at the bottom they've got a refer a friend. So the friend gets 20% off their first order, and the referrer gets 25 loyalty points as well. So really, really powerful. It encourages more people to do it, and they can do it as many times as they want. So they get a link that they can share around social. So again, good way to get free influencers, I suppose, because they can gain posts.
And it's like 2-in-1, because you also get, you can set up to get to request product reviews for points. So it's definitely a good strategy to gain some more trust.
Yeah, definitely. So Dr. Axe, this is quite interesting. They also have rewards, but the way that they're running their refer a friend is they get $10 off for you and $10 off for your friend. Really, really clever way of doing it, actually monetizing it, putting an actual value on it. It's going to encourage people to do it, right?
Yeah, I love this. And I'm just wondering, why aren't there more brands that do this? Because it's usually like, hey, sign up for the newsletter and you get like 10% off. But this is a really clever way of multiplying that, the effect of the network effect. You create a network effect.
Yeah, and it encourages a community around your brand, doesn't it? Which again,
exactly
builds up that trust and allows people to focus on the brand and not the price. So win-win around there. Cool. So product images. We know it's obvious, isn't it? Product images are really, really important, but 75% of online shoppers rely on those product photos when deciding on a potential purchase. And 22% of returns occur because the product looks different than in person. It's really, really important to get those product images right. Obviously, it's really hard during the lockdown to employ a photographer, lots of models, and get it all together and do a proper photo shoot. But there's still ways of doing it. You can get stuff from Amazon to create your own little photography studio. You can send the stuff off to a photographer to go and get done. But it's just really important to have high quality photography, and that uses a combination of just like products, models, and lifestyle images, right?
I really want to touch on a few topics here when it comes to product images. I mean, we live in a world where there's so much of everything. Like there's so many products, so many options to choose from. Imagine you're selling, like, I don't know, like, let's just say sneakers, but you're selling like, you're a retailer. You're not even a DTC brand. You're a retailer, and it's the same pair of sneakers that people can find in 20 other sources. Like the question is like, how do you really differentiate yourself? Except the pricing. I think it's to product images. I personally, when I shop for sneakers or something that I know I can find in multiple places, I don't know why, but my brain always says, just go with the store that has the best product images, because for some reason I'm just looking at that product ID and it's the same, like it's identical in 20 other websites. But when I see those, like when I see maybe the sneakers worn by someone, or like a video of those sneakers, like an unboxing video, I feel like, okay, I can trust this website, and I feel like they're really putting some effort in presenting you the product, although it's the same product that other like 20 or 100 other brands are using. And this goes the same if you're selling some kind of like a commodity product. I don't know, some gadgets or things. This also goes into like the drop shipping people that do drop shipping, and that's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to do something different, at least make your product images stand out. Don't just use some product images off the internet just because you're lazy and you don't want to invest like a couple, like $100 in some product images. Trust me, guys, and everyone who's listening, it pays off investing in product images. And plus, it makes your brand look like so much more professional.
Yeah, definitely. It's that same thing. You know, if you went into a brick and mortar store and the shelves were dusty and the the packaging was all broken, you would go to a different store and buy the same product.
Exactly.
One that's presented.
Even if it's cheaper in that store, you would still go to the next store and pay like, $10 more just because you have that nice box and then unboxing experience.
Exactly. Yeah. And the product needs to be relatable. You said, those models. In fact, yeah. So here's an example. Hamilton and Hair, they sell, medium to high range of men's kind of loungewear, sleepwear. So they have a certain demographic. It's the older gentleman, and you see in the model photography, he's just sat chilling out. It's the perfect kind of age bracket for them. So it wouldn't make any sense to have like a young teenage boy wearing that and playing an Xbox, right? It's got to be appealing. And in the same way that you build friendships and you build relationships and trusts with other people that are very similar to you, that's exactly how this works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, going back to that things when you're selling like a commodity, like a great T-shirt, it's not something revolutionary. It's not something like, oh my God, it's like the only brand that's selling great T-shirts. Like there's a ton of other brands which are doing this, but by having those product images, which again they target the exact demographic that you want to target, it really connects with them on a more deeper level. So it also helps building relationship and trust.
Yeah, definitely. Really, really well done example there as well. Cool. So good visual content, 40% more likely to get shared on your social accounts, right? So again, just another example of a marketing flywheel. Spend a bit of time doing it. It's just right. So get really, really creative with it. Work with an agency to produce your photographs and your different product images. Get a model agency in if you need to. Look at interactive product images, so using 360, and then look at the different mediums like video, 3D rendering, and even augmented reality, which I think is native on some Shopify stores now as well. So here's an example. Really clever how they just attract your eye when you hover over it. Turns from an image into a video. Really clever.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea. And again, imagine you're a brand and you can actually you're the one that is doing all the photo shooting, and so you have all the models, you have the products there. And what's the cost of just doing some quick videos? It's basically almost nothing because you already are there. So again, if you can do it, it's something it's quite it's not that easy to do, but it's also once you have it implemented in your strategy, it drives conversions like crazy.
Yeah, right. And it's a good kind of brand consistent as well, almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here's an example of AR. Really, really clever. So furniture shop, high value item, not necessarily likely to buy on mobile, but that's really native to the browser, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to see more and more of this kind of AR, VR experience. And I think home and interior decorations are one of the biggest industries or niches that they're gonna leverage this technology.
Yeah, definitely. It's because they're such big items. You can't really offer free returns if it's not right, if the color's not right. So showcased in a real life environment is.
And one thing that I want to touch on here is that people are maybe wondering okay, that's great, but how do I actually implement this in my store? And I think I've been reading some articles about it, and the technology, it's getting cheaper and cheaper. So I believe in the very near future, we're going to see Shopify apps doing this. So it's all going to be super easy. You just have to scan your object and then you create a collection. So I think right now, maybe it's it takes some effort in terms of financial effort, but in time we're going to see this like technology getting more affordable.
Yeah, definitely. And there's more and more kind of marketplaces out there of people that will kind of do all this 3D rendering and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as it becomes more popular, more and more people will train in it and become more skilled, and the price of it's gonna drop. Cool. So blog and content. 60% of consumers say blog posts are valuable in the early stages of the buying process, which I find quite interesting. It's probably because it shows off their expertise, right? So if somebody's an expert in something, you instantly trust them. Same way as you kind of trust what the doctor has to say, right? They're an expert in their field, so you can trust that.
Yeah. And when it comes to content, I know like having a blog is the standard for any brand. It's the first thing that you do when you start producing content. But depending on the niche and depending on what's your target audience, I really think, brands and people should look into other mediums like, podcasts, YouTube videos, YouTube shows, webinars, why not? So there's way more to content than just blog. So, for example, if your audience are, like high performing people that they don't really have time to read blogs about products, maybe you'd be better off having a podcast, like a 10-15 minute podcast where you talk about different topics. So it's something that I would personally experiment depending on the brand. And today it's getting easier to start a podcast. It's getting easier to produce content. There's a ton of people that like freelancers, even agencies that you can hire to produce content. So definitely it's a huge deal, and it impacts the way people see your brand. The same way exact way you said it. Like, people look into how knowledgeable are you, and this is very important, especially with brands that sell health related products, where you really have to share your expertise. I mean, if you're selling like fashion items, maybe a blog is not like the best medium, but also you can produce like lookbooks or like content in other ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I think here as well, it's important to point out that try and stay away from self-promotional pieces of content.
Oh.
How many times have you seen a blog that says 10 reasons why you should buy my product kind of thing? It's you want something that they would read, whether or not they're going to buy your product.
Yeah, this is something maybe we should have added like a huge text, like don't just self-promote yourself with content. That's not the idea behind creating a blog, creating content. Again, it's just the same way I mentioned that example before. If you're talking to someone and they keep on, they still want to try to sell you something, and you feel like they're just trying to sell you something, that's a really bad example of creating relationships. And people know that. And smart brands are obviously not doing it, but there's people that pay a ton of money to get some content. And at the end of the day, it's going to be bad content because it's not value. It's just some sales material.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to add value, doesn't it? And that can be used again. So reusing that in a content marketing strategy, so across social media, across your email marketing, even in ads as well, especially if you're doing video content, using that in ads is just going to improve that kind of engagement rate as well.
Yeah.
So here's a brand. These guys are called Premamo, and they sell supplements specifically for pregnancy, and so for pregnant women and for the baby as well. And they split their supplements into different stages depending on the different stage of pregnancy. And it's exactly the same with the blog. They split it up so that content is really relevant for the reader, and really kind of, really in-depth and really relevant as well. Like you see here, 4 pregnancy tips during the coronavirus pandemic. Like, how valuable is that, especially for kind of new mums to be? Like, they want to find out all these different tips. And sorry.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect example of a brand that really, it has to have a blog. It has to have some kind of a content source, because especially when you're selling, it's a different kind of product. It's not a commodity. It's not something that you find everywhere. And if it's a new product, you have to explain it and how it works. And people first have to understand the product. And through a blog, yeah, it's cost, it may cost a little bit of extra cash to do it. But think about these guys. I believe if they don't run like articles and content, like people would not trust purchasing like this kind of supplements. It's a pretty sensitive product in a way.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely requires that, doesn't it? Yeah, and here's another one. It's a BioLite blog. They sell all kind of like outdoor camping equipment, that kind of thing. And again, their blog isn't talking about all their products all the time. It's talking about different things and different things that relate to kind of that outdoorsy person. So all about, there's bits about cycling, how to cook outdoors, that kind of thing. Really, really good, informative blog that isn't necessarily promoting their products all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's not forget the basics. 50% of consumers just companies who make it easy for visitors to contact the people behind the company. That's because your brand is just an extension of you, right? So people buy from people, they don't buy from brands. So if you can make your brand an extension of you, that's really, really important. So show them a real address. Yeah, gets rid of those worries around customer service.
Well, I mean, this is one of the most basic things, and still a lot of brands are not doing it. And I'm just staggered. Like you would want to purchase something, and then you're hitting the contact page, you're looking at the footer, and there's no information about the product, about the company. Where is it based out of? Where are my products going to be shipped from? And for, personally for me, that's a no-go. I would never purchase something from a company that I don't know anything about it. It could have the best product, like half the price of anything else what's available in the market. I would not purchase if there isn't some kind of address, some kind of information about the company. And for people that are thinking like, oh, I don't really want to share my home address. I'm just doing some, like, I don't have an office. I'm just working from home. I have like small business. You can easily rent like a virtual address in the UK and also in the US, and in like I think in any country you can do it nowadays. So definitely do that. So you can just put that on the footer, put it in the footer. If it's even if you're like, maybe you're not US based, you're living in Europe, but your company is based in the US, just get an address and put it there, because it really helps build trust. And it goes the same with the phone number. One of the first things that we did when we started our brands was adding a real phone number and routing it to like a voice, like kind of those like automated voice support things. I think it was an app or some kind of platform called Sonatel. I think that's the name. It was like $10 per month, and you would get like opt for for option 1 press 1, for option 2 press 2. And a lot of people would call and they would use that thing, and it really, like, we got amazing feedback. Like that small thing helped with conversions big time.
Yeah, definitely. And try and stay away from this. This is one that I've worked with recently. I actually ordered a furniture, a new desk for home during the COVID lockdown, and they obviously got overwhelmed with orders and they weren't answering any emails, and then my order never came. And then I went to go phone them, and they had a premium number, so it would have cost me, I think, 30p a minute to phone them.
Wow. Oh yeah, my God.
Not happy, and I will not be ordering from them again. So try and stay away from that. If you can, obviously do it free, or just a normal kind of phone number on that.
Yeah.
So here's a brand here, Bandu. They make it really obvious that they want you to get in contact with them, and they have different forms for different things. So it's not like it's really, really easy to kind of fill in. I'm really attractive there as well. It's not just phone us if you need us. It's phone us if you want us, kind of thing. So really good. Yeah,
just as a closing thought, this is one of those things that looks so superficial. Like, yeah, sure, I'm just gonna add a phone number, but like for everyone that's listening, trust me, this is really, really important. People really want to know who's behind the brand. They really want to know they have someone to talk to. So even if you're just starting out and you think like, oh, like how I'm gonna handle those conversations, like those people, don't worry about it. Like it's better to talk to these people and provide support, even if you're just in your pajamas at home. Like they would never know it. So that's really important. Or you can just provide like text message support. You can use something like Cartloop where we talk to your customers. But it's really important to have that personal touch, even either through live chat, phone, or like real-time text messages. Really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So we're pretty much at the 1 hour time, so right on time.
Nice. So quick summary then. So prop drivers, USPs, and use those to kind of do upstream marketing, align your brand values with the audience brand values. User-generated content, again, power this through loyalty programs and offer incentives to do this, and then share that across the whole user journey. Same with reviews, using human-powered text messages, such as Cartloop. It brings that brick and mortar experience back into e-commerce.
Yep.
Introduce a referral program, again, through loyalty programs as well. Make sure your product images are right. Get some really good endorsements in place through Google, contacting different PR firms if you need to. Optimize your blog and your content. Think creatively about that. Don't forget the basics, and be honest, genuine, and customer-centric.
Yeah. And I think we've covered so many topics today. Like initially when we started planning this, it was like even like a bigger list than this. And like, fortunately, we got to reduce it and provide some detailed content on each topic. But, you know, for everyone that attended, I want to thank you. And one thing that I want to mention is that don't get overwhelmed by all of these points. You know, we just presented them today. So you can start with, you know, just start small, start with one of them. You don't have to start tomorrow, like going crazy about endorsements, you know, going crazy about product images, like doing everything that we presented today. Depending on the kind of brand you have, where you are with your business, just start with the basics. Make sure that those are in place. You have a phone number, you have some text message support, you have live chat, and then just start from there. That's one thing I wanted to touch upon.